This is Mount Robson. This is Howard Road, off busy Yellowhead Highway 16, just a stone's throw from Mount Robson. This is David Grant and Karen Shepherd's place on Howard Road. Most days you'll find Dave and the Funky Goat in Valemount, but he also takes the goat out to some of the Robson Valley's biggest events, like the Robson Valley Music Festival, held in mid-August in Dunster, but more on that later. First, let's meet Sketch. Sketch is 11, getting on in cat years. And like many of us, Sketch has put on a few pounds. But don't let that fool you, because Sketch is one amazing feline.
And but she kept on kind of, as you see, she likes to dart and doesn't like people too much and doesn't like to be around anything that's going on. She likes to be the center of attention when you're all by yourself. But she would have this head motion that would kind of dart around. So if you were walking across the floor, she would follow your body movement. And it just looked really sketchy. And I kept calling her Sketch. I was like, wow, you're so sketchy. And after about 3 weeks, I realized that was her name. So I named her Sketch, and fantastic little companion. She's quite the mouser when she's outside. She's an indoor-outdoor cat. But for the most part, the last 3-4 years, she's sort of been homebound. She doesn't get along with the other cats. She's a bit of a scrapper. Unfortunately, she's a female cat, so she doesn't like anything but the one person she's with. She loves her daughter, mind you. Right from birth, she was sleeping with Blake right next to her. So she's been the family cat, and she's been quite good to me. She's got some curiosity, but she's always quite shy. You know, you'll see her off in the distance. She doesn't approach people and doesn't like to get out and about, especially with new things. So she's the kind of cat you'll see on the far side of the yard, and you catch a glimpse of her, and that'll be about it. She won't come wandering over to you. Never gone on of her own, other than the initial, when we found her down there. That's it. She sort of stayed home. She'll go out in the yard, she'll go out for the day, but doesn't roam too far. I picked up the trailer from my landlord on Thursday, and the trailer had spent the night here while I was loading it up. And I moved the food truck on Thursday night to the festival, and Len parked it and kind of plugged it in. I returned Thursday night, and then I got up early morning on Friday to do the final loading. And during that time, I had left the trailer doors to the. It was a 12 by 8 cargo trailer, and it's beige, completely encased in fiberglass, so there's no windows. And it's got a bit of a pointed front to it, a streamlined. So there's a lot of stuff that can be kind of jammed into the front, and that's kind of where the generator was sitting. And I had all the potato boxes along the one wall, and then all my other equipment, my propane tanks and gasoline and whatnot, strapped to the other. So it was a bit of an aisle right down the middle, and that was it. And with the generator in the back, there was a small gap of about 6 inches to 8 inches or so, where I believe is where she ended up.
So, on Thursday, Dave drove the Funky Goat truck and trailer from his home near Mount Robson 50 kilometers to the site of the Robson Valley Music Festival in Dunster.
Pay me for all the things I haven't done. I said I could find work here if I tried. I tell him with a smile. Well, I don't.
Well, over the festival weekend, no, I was just sort of headlong into the festival itself and just the activities, and I hadn't really noticed anything amiss. I had no concept that Sketch may have even been in the trailer, and it wasn't until later on, but on Friday night, someone had spotted Sketch, but I was not aware of that at that time, and they weren't aware it was my cat either until I put a post up on Facebook. So even if Sketch had been around, and being the kind of cat she is, she's not going to come out into a crowd and approach me, even if she sees me, because she's just kind of sketchy, and she likes to keep to herself. So that was the one thing I kind of thought odd, was that once I realized she was gone and that she had been spotted at the festival, that I kind of wondered why didn't you just come up to me, come up to my legs? I would have realized, oh, hey, you're here, But it wasn't until Sunday night, I got back late and I was pretty tired. I just, I noticed she was not around, which was a bit odd, but we just went to bed. I got up in the morning and I called for her and she still wasn't around. The other 2 cats were around, and that's when I kind of started getting a little bit worried. I thought, well, this is just really out of the ordinary for her. She's not like this. So I went outside with her dinner dish, and I got a little metal plate that if she responds to instantly, if you take a spoon and you bang it on it, she comes flying. And all the other 2 cats came, and she didn't. So I had to go back on the Monday morning to retrieve all my equipment, and that's when I started thinking about it. I'm like, wow, I wonder if she accidentally got into the trailer. And it was just a thought at that point. It wasn't even, I didn't even think it was possible because I knew I'd checked the trailer. And at that point, I had gone and finished packing up everything, and I'd left the food truck there, and I brought the trailer home, and I got back and she still wasn't here. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm gonna put a post up. So I put a post up on Facebook with a picture of her saying, hey, listen, if my cat's missing in Mount Robson, and she could have possibly gone with me to the music festival in the trailer, if anybody has seen this cat, please let me know. And pretty much immediately I had a reply from Darcy Peaver, and she said, yeah, I saw that black and white cat sitting next to your truck on the first time on Friday when I came to talk to you. And like she came early, so I remember talking to her. This was before the music had started. And she thought it odd that this cat was just sitting next to my food truck, and it was by itself. It was with no one around, like with nobody, and there was all this stuff kind of going on, and the thing was just sitting there staring. So first thing immediately on Tuesday morning, I went right back out to the festival, and I had blanketed the entire area. We're just walking up and down River Road because there's basically the McDonald family, has got the monopoly on that whole road. I spoke to all of them and put up posters, and went over to the Dunster store, put up posters there. I went over to the Dunster swap shed, put some there, put some up on the Dunster Hall, and then I grabbed my bike. I biked up and down the highway a bit calling her, and walked through the bush calling her, and I ran into Claire McDonald's 2 boys and showed them a picture, and they said that they'd spotted her as well. They couldn't pinpoint what day it was on the festival, but being that they know, the area fairly well, and apparently there's only 2 other cats that live on that road, and they're Seth and Cher's cats. So they immediately spotted it and knew it was out of the ordinary. And so the search was on. At that point, decided, well, she's going to have to figure out how to get home by herself, and I hope she's smart enough to, once she gets tired and lonely, to show up at a house, at one of the farms or something, and we'll get a call in the next few days. And that was kind of it. I was pretty hurt, tired. I probably walked about 30K that day, walking around in the bush, just screaming and yelling. My throat was sore, and so Karen and I and Blake went home, thinking maybe that was it for Sketch.
But Sketch had other ideas. She left the hustle and bustle of the festival behind and headed out on her own Robson Valley incredible journey.
I'm thinking because she's seen enough sunrises out this way, and she's been outside for them, and that's the only thing I can think is that maybe in the morning it was, wow, the sun's over there, I'm gonna start heading that way. Because I think the house should be in that direction. It's the only thing I could come up with. Other than the amount of traffic, there's more traffic going west or east than there is west, highway traffic. So I'm thinking maybe she just kind of had seen all the vehicles kind of pulling out and heading back that way, that she thought, well, I'll just follow them and see where they're going.
For 4 days and nights, Sketch walked and walked, searching for something familiar. Over bridges, past Tijon, maneuvering the busy and confusing highway interchange, turning east on Highway 16, avoiding the scary cars and trucks, always on the lookout for predators, past the Terry Fox rest area, over Swift Current Creek, And finally, 50 kilometers later, something she recognized. Something that smelled like home.
We got home and it was about 4 in the morning when Karen had heard a kind of a scuffle out on the deck, which is not abnormal because we have 2 other cats and they like to wrestle out on the deck. So Karen had opened the patio door, assuming that it was just one of the 2 wrestling. And she saw a black cat dart in. Well, we've got 2 black cats, and this is the only one it's got black, a little bit of white, but from the top you wouldn't know the difference, especially when you're sleepy. And the cat darted in. I had got up to use the washroom, and after using the washroom, I opened the door, and there was Sketch standing outside the door. So skinny and a little skinnier, and she was all wet. She meowed, and she was pretty happy. As you can see, she doesn't like to be picked up much, but she didn't have any problems with being cuddled. And she didn't leave the house for 3 days after that. She would not leave our sides. Here, you want to stand up? Let's see if she'll sit up here. You want to sit up there? Maybe not.
So what was your reaction?
My reaction was I couldn't believe it. I thought I was dreaming. I literally just had woke and was thinking, okay, wait a minute. So I picked up the cat and I brought her over to Karen and I flicked on the light in the bedroom. I said, look. She's like, what? And I said, how did she get in the house? I couldn't figure it out because I didn't realize Karen had opened the patio door, and so I thought maybe that we'd missed it and she was in the basement somehow, but it didn't add up. She was wet, So she said, no, I just opened the door like a couple minutes ago. So yeah, she was home. It was just amazing to have her kicking around. It was.
And what was her condition?
She was fine. She was a little bit skinnier, but she was wet. And she was very happy to be home. It had been 6 days at that point. 6 days gone. So I'm thinking probably on Friday night after the festival had started, and once the music really kind of kicked in, that she probably was sketched out and probably darted off into the bush to get away from the sound. And the way the festival is sort of situated is that there really wasn't any other way for her to go except for up to the highway, because there was campers on the one side and there was the music on the other, and then of course the river was flanked, and being that she doesn't like people, she would have had to have gone into the bush, and the bush would have brought her directly up to the highway. So I think at that point it was just probably camped out there wondering, what do I do? And lives in Mount Robson here, so she's well aware of, if not more acutely aware of, wildlife and wolves and coyotes and whatnot, because we've got a whole plethora of them out here, and being right on the park boundary. So I think she's just as small animals do. They learn to run fast and dart and hide, and I think she just probably moused her way all the way home. I thought it was amazing because there were so many little bridges along the way that she had to cross to get back here. So she just must have. She just had to stick to the highway. It was the only logical direction that she could have went in. She slept for 3 days. She did not move. She just laid on the couch and laid in the bed, and she didn't want to go anywhere. She was afraid. She was even afraid to step outside. She did not want to go outside. And it took her a little bit. Actually, Karen commented it was about 3 days later, I had opened the patio door, and she kind of just cautiously kind of poked her head out the window, moved around, and then she jumped up on the porch and up on the railing, and Karen looked at me and said, that's the furthest she's been in 3 days. I kind of giggled, and she went out in the yard, and nothing out of our sight. As soon as we make a movement, she'd jolt back to us.
Do you treat her any differently now?
Well, she was pretty spoiled to begin with. So, yes and no. I ensure now that anytime I leave, I know where she is before I leave, to make sure that she's on the property. Because she's got the run of the house if she wants. She can be out in the yard. She can go and do what she wants. But I definitely make sure that, that she's I spot her before I leave. At least I say goodbye. I think that'll be the new norm.
Do you think she used up one of her 9 lives?
Oh, easy. Yeah, maybe a couple lives. That's for sure.